Hey, I thought I'd share something. I just listened to a beautiful little podcast down at Deer Park Monastery in Southern California, sort of an offshoot, like planting a seed in another part of the world that Ty put up, which is Plum Village, the one he established in France. He was originally from Vietnam. Beautiful soul and spirit. It's not what you look like. The power of the spirit, the power of the energy, the spirit and the soul. Yeah. And so, this brother that was talking about imperfection and achieving peace and meditation and this kind of stuff, the exercises, the spiritual practices that they do in a monastery. So, you know what Mano is? Manu Ira, right? Um, and so, how electrical density consciousness works, right? To experience being both the electric and the magnetic. Yeah, the dance we do in twin spirit, twin spirals, silver and gold, wound tight as a drum. As tight as a drum. The tighter the drum. Uncoil the drum. Play the drums. Dance to the beat in spirit with rays. The magnificence and the magnitude and the amplification of the scalar waves. Waveform communication. And so I was thinking when I was a child, when I had this avatar up and running as fast as I could, which was right around 4 years of age, when I'm map reading the language of this design, and you realize you're on a spiritual AI battlefield. And so yeah, it's funny that it's like you don't need anybody to inform you of this, of how you operate an operating system as a monad. And so I realized, okay, I'm going to be willing to load, because you realize you're going to be loading program. Mathematical codes represent program and what we're going to hold in memory. So I realized that I'm not supposed to experience anything less than the first creation, okay, which is source itself. Okay, so you realize I'm a source unit. So I'm not supposed to experience anything less than eternal love wherever I go in living spirit. So therefore, in order for me to be able to use what I'm going to load now in a present eternal magnetic moment, because I realize that what I'm going to load is what I'm going to use later to communicate to others, because then they're going to be able to translate the language that's held in their memory, the experiences that they've had that they can relate to by how we relate to them in the future after we wake them up. You see how that works? So in other words, it's like I'm going to explain to you in the future that you're experiencing now at the completion of a circuit why you're experiencing what you're experiencing now by virtue of what we did before that. The art gate work, rebuilding circuits, right? The core encryption code of planetary, galactic, and universal systems, right? And why that is. And much of that information was revealed through the Voyager materials in many, many different videos that are linked, which is called cross-linked to other libraries that are circulating. So when you think about what you've loaded in memory that you still have access to in memory, then you can recall it, and then you can go, aha, I remember experiencing that, what you're communicating about now of something that's held in my memory that I can relate to. Oh, now we have a relationship, right? Into what's called cause and effect, the underlying causality of why we're experiencing now what we are now by virtue of the breathing circulation speed, which is the circulation speeds of what I call power indexing. So you know the power of mathematics, so you know the log scale exponent, which is an accelerator, right? The accelerators, which are the purifiers, which are the hot engines, the creation engines of all creation. Because the speed at which things are happening so fast, right? That means that we're circulating the information through a morphogenetic field structure at a higher rate of speed. That was what allows for higher states of awareness to be filling up capacitors by the virtue of those that are accelerators. Yeah, the accelerators of electrons. Brrr, free electrons. The data that is coming through the electrons. Now we're able to experience it by what we feel, what our sensors are feeling at the emotional level. How sensitive we are at the emotional level, which is care, kindness, compassion, honesty, integrity, living in the truth. And living in the truth, as I once described it with a relationship that I had with an identity, because I never saw him or her, but I believe it was a her, because you can sort of tell by the way that girls communicate the nature of how their system works. So having been one, I can identify one, because the codes and the frequencies and the chemical messengers, the glands and the hormones don't lie, by virtue of the cellular membrane network that is in that particular software, that physical being that is communicating with me online. Yes, it was a female. And so it became, if you will, how is a person, another unit of consciousness, going to know who you really are unless you're willing to do what? Tell the truth. Be honest. Being brutally honest. Which means I live in no fear. Like I mentioned to her one time, I am an open book, which is an open cosmic level antenna. Therefore, I am an observation post, which is a listening post, which is an antenna, picking up all the signals, which are all the frequencies, and processing and translating what those frequencies mean in mathematics as to the circulation speed of what we're experiencing between density and dimensions, right? Or, if you will, the collective consciousness field of all there is, which is all cellular communications that are conscious and aware of themselves. Yeah, so in other words, I spent probably a week writing letters to her, sharing with her all of the things that I have experienced, which is dumping all the skeletons out there. And I did that first when you get into how the healing can take place, because then she begins to realize, wow, you opened up an enormous library of experiences, of things you've experienced with drugs and alcohol and demons and warlocks and vampires. Wow. And what happened is what do you think her reply, her reaction was to that? She begins to open up. Now she's not afraid to share all those demons, the shadow body. So now we begin to have an intimate relationship, because now she's not in fear of expressing who she really is, which is everything that's held in her cellular memory that she's wanting to heal. Now we begin to have a heart-to-heart relationship, soul to soul, spirit to spirit, and now we can go deep. I used to tell her, you want to go deep into your heart? You want to see how deep your heart can go? You want to go through all those layers? All the way down to the core encryption code of your very being, of how much love you can actually experience through your own heart and heal the shadow body? You want to do that together? We can do that together. And we can heal each other at a very high rate of speed when we're both doing that together, soul to soul, spirit to spirit, heart to heart. And you would be surprised how fast that was beginning to happen. And with this particular girl in Lagos, Nigeria, it was happening within a period of about a year, roughly about a year, a little over a year. And then she began writing letters back that were honest and truthful about how she felt. Not what she thought, but what she was feeling in her heart and her soul. Now you begin to realize this is the artwork, which is the navigation of communicating how it is that we heal through each other. and how we do it across the entire planetary consciousness terrain of communicating through every cell, what other cells are experiencing through us, which is the entire collective morphogenetic field of every living cellular organism that is recording what it's experienced by virtue of all of our communications of what we're all communicating with each other through antennas. The antenna of the heart, the sentient heart, the emotional, creative intelligence of the heart and the soul, the essence of our spirit, spiritual communication, what we feel through our heart and our soul, the center point of the heart, the still point, the piece, the centerpiece, the center of that cell, the center of that star, the center point of balance. 4 quadrants, the quads, yeah.